Hi, everybody. My name is Laura Gordon, and today we're going to talk about Latest News Enhance, a product from Simplify Your Web. We're going to get creative on displaying content on your website, and let's go. So the agenda, I'm going to go over an intro of who's who. Then I'll go over some content display options and different ways you can do things with filtering. And then another way you could use Latest News Enhance, where you can actually make your articles into events, which I think is a really powerful concept. And then lastly, easy to edit. My feeling with websites is my end users should not have to know Joomla. So if I built the site correctly with the right content, they should be able to edit from the front end. I should not have to teach them the back end of Joomla if I do it correctly. So intro, so who am I? So this picture was taken of me. I think, Tim, weren't you there? And I know Mark was there when we were in Spain, which was amazing. And that was in January of 2020. I've been building Joomla websites since 2005. I attended my first Joomla New York City user group meeting at the suggestion of Gary Mort. And it was run by Mitch Pirtle, who's one of the founders of Joomla, and that was back in 2005. And I haven't stopped since. Currently, I work at Rutgers, where we manage over 120 Joomla websites. I also do private websites on the side as well. Different groups I'm involved with, Joomla Day USA, jdayusa.com. Visit the site, we'll have more details later on. The Joomla user group team, that's like an actual Joomla group, and the Joomla user group of New Jersey. Olivier. So I had to introduce Olivier because he is the brainchild behind Latest News Enhance. And through a lot of nudging from people like myself, it's kept getting better and better. So thank you again. He's a French-born freelancer established in New York. He's been creating websites since '97, following web standards and their evolution over the years. He is fully committed in building high quality must-have extensions for the Joomla community, as well as providing a Joomla-based web presence for his clients. Some groups he's involved in, the Joomla 4.3 release lead that he mentioned, JDay USA, and the Extension Developers User Group, which they are having a meeting today at 12:30. And what makes them different is this is a group that's focused just on people that are building extensions, but you as the web designers are using these extensions. So that may be a user group that you may want to follow because it's about the extensions that make your websites as amazing as they are. So let's jump into the display. We can display content in a couple of different ways using the layout tab in Latest News Enhance. Now, since I only have 20 minutes, I don't have enough time to go into really a lot of details. So if you decide that one of these pieces you want me to go into every single setting, let me know, and then I could spend 20 minutes on just that one piece. But here's an example of a Latest News Enhance layout where I have the image on the right and the left, and it kind of switches off on each side. I have the title that's displayed. I have some content. And then I also have a link, and I'm going to show you how this link thing works, because that I did have to do an override to make that happen. I will be showing you that a little bit later, but that's just an example of just content display. I can have a search at the top, which is nice as well. And another example is here. So this is a little bit more complex. It's more of a gallery type view framework. And basically, this is a bunch of books, right? So here I have the different books. I have the book title. I have the month and year that the book was being read and the type of book that it is. So that's another option in there as well. Another layout that you can do, which is relatively new, is the table layout. Now, this I'm really excited about. So excited that I'm going to actually show you on the actual page itself. So here's the page in action. So this page is using data. Let me just show you an example of one of the data items. So here's a course, right? We have the title of the course. I have a sample syllabus and I have details about the course, okay? So let me go back. Okay, so that wasn't a great course because you couldn't see the track, right? Let me go into this one so we have more details. So here I have more custom fields. So I have what the SAS, which is School of Arts and Sciences, what the core is. And I can have more than one course. So this is a multiple select field. So I can select 21C and I could select NS. Those are two different options. In the track, it's just a text field, and the credits is 3. Okay, so simple, simple. If I go back to my page, my listing page, I can see that here. So in this format, which is the tabular view, I can select what columns I want to show. I can decide if I want the columns to be sortable or not. Okay, so that's in the tabular view, which is really nice. Also, it stacks automatically. So if I'm in a cell phone type view, it makes it look so beautiful. Anyway, without any work at all, right? So that's out of the box. Now you may ask, what's this stuff going on up here? So this is the filtering that I mentioned. So I can now have filtering in latest news enhanced, either and or on the category, the tag, and custom fields. That is huge, huge, huge. And I'm like, Olivier, thank you, thank you, thank you. So what that means is if you have a list type custom field, I can go here and I can select, give me all the ones that are in 21C, or give me all the ones that are HST type classes, and I can see them, which is amazing. I can also select based on the track, which can also be a multiple select as well, if I want, depending on how I have it set up. And I'm going to just go to all here. In the other setup, let me just show you the live version as well. There was the where did they put it? Oh, we put it here. Okay, so just a quick update. This page is Joomla 3. This is Joomla 4. So the tool itself does work in both tools. It is a different version of latest news enhanced for Joomla 4, but it works the same. So the function is the same. This is the example where it kind of goes on either side. Another nice example of that, I'm going to bring up one more page, this one, because I happen to like the way this looks. It looks a little bit sexier, is this page right here. So this, again, is using latest news enhanced. And it just now, again, this is a Joomla 3 site, so I know it's a little bit dated, but this type of look is a really nice look. This is using latest news enhanced. There's no more building tables or anything of that nature. It's all using custom fields. Each of the fields, I can select what class I want the field to display in, so I have control over that. And the read more can link to either the article or to a web page itself. Like if I have a link, a custom field that's a web page, it can link to that as well. All right, let me get back so I don't lose my train of thought. Okay, something else you can do, which is really, really powerful, is you can group the data. So this is an example of author of the year, new author of the year, and unpublished writers workshop. And I'm going to show you, I think I did it here. Let me see. I think we did it on this page. Let me see, because I just thought of a better example. Okay, so basically the category structure of these records, there's a category. You can only group by category. So you can't group by custom fields or tags because there could be duplicate, right? But I can group by categories. So on the back end of this site, which might take me a second, I can show you just so you can see. You know, if you don't understand the data, it's really hard to actually, let me just get in here. This is, as I mentioned, a Joomla 3 website. And let me just give that a second. Okay, so if I go into content, just so you can see the structure of how it works. And by the way, I always show people this page, which is the categories page, because if you don't understand your content, you're in big, big trouble. And as you can tell, this is quite a big website. So if you can see here, if I go to people, there we go. Not this one. There we go. So if I go to people, you can see my different categories. So I have the chair's office. These are the people in chair's office. So you can see it better. I have personnel and finance, graduate office, the different offices, right? And I could see in here how many articles are in each category, just so you understand what the grouping is. So now if I go up to over here, in latest news enhanced and the pagination tab, you can select grouping. So this way they have everyone in chair's office together, everyone in personnel and finance, graduate office, undergraduate office, central, you know, whatever. So I have these groupings, which is important for this specific page. Again, as I mentioned, the groupings has to be by category. So you do have to make sure that, like Leah Price, for example, cannot exist into 2 different groups. That will not work. And I always talk to the department or whoever I'm building this site for to say, okay, why are we doing the grouping? I'm not a big fan of this type of layout because I think from a usability level, is someone really going to be scrolling down? Probably not, but this is what they were used to, so I didn't want to fight it. But you can also add to the top a drop down, which I think is more user friendly, and I could select Writer's House, and then I'll get the people in Writer's House. To me, this tabbing works better, but you don't have to pick one or the other. You can do both, and that's what I did here in this example. Okay, let me just see what else. Another example of the filtering, So let me bring up this page here. I did it on this one. Okay, so if I go to this, we're okay on time, right? Okay. So here, this is a website. It's called the Go On Girl Book Club, and they've been around since 1993, and it's an African-American book club with all of the books and publishers are African-American. These women that read the books create their own chapters. So right now, I don't remember if there's 50 chapters all over the country. Each chapter has 10 to 12 members. And they meet once a month and talk about certain books. So the central organization selects what books they're going to read each year. So if anyone's interested in finding books for your own book club, this is a great resource because you can actually go through here and see what books they've read every single year. Or you can select what genre you want to select from. So from a data, this is like a little off topic. If you're looking for a good book to read, this is a really great resource. And these women have given me lots of great books to read as I've been working with them. But basically, if I want to see what classic books there are, I can click on that. And then I get all the books that are in classic in that genre. And that's how this is set up. If I want to see books that were read in a specific year, so I say, oh, I'm curious, what did they read in 2020? I can go there, go to 2020, and I could see the amazing books that they selected there. So again, this is a filtering option. As I mentioned, filtering can be done by category, tag, and or a list custom field, even if the custom field is a multi-select. The custom field is relatively new. So when I built this site, I didn't have the custom field option. So I was using tags at the time. So even our websites are changing based on the amazing advances that Olivier has come up with. Let's see. Okay, before I go into the URL display, because I do want to talk to you about that. Does anyone have any like quick questions? Because I know I'm going kind of quick here.
I have a question real quick. How do you put that drop down? How do you populate it on the page?
You got it. So if I go to, let me go to English because I already have that open. I can show you. So in Latest News Enhanced, you can create either a module or a menu item. So if you do it as a module, you do not have the pagination selections. A module is, I only use the Latest News Enhanced module if I'm putting it and embedding it within a page. And I typically, my rule of thumb is I would only use it if it's like maybe 10 items. I would use it on a home page or something like that. I wouldn't use it for the majority of my content. The paid version of Latest News Enhanced, he has a menu item, and that's really what you want to be using, especially if you want to do more with the information. You want to create them as menu items. So if I go to that admin, I think it was this, let's see. So here's the administration and staff, and I'm not 100% positive which version of Latest News Enhanced I have on this specific site, but that's okay. So if I go to pagination, I scroll down. So remember, this is the one that's grouped by categories. So you can do top and I can group it by category. Okay. The next piece is the headings. No, not the headings. Where is it? Where's my drop down? Top indexing. Oh, I'm sorry. I did it backwards. Olivier, sorry, I did it wrong. And I know he's like, Laura, no.
So no, that's okay.
The indexing at the top, that's where your drop downs are. So the indexing, you can do categories. I can add multiple indexing. So if there are any fields that is a drop down, I could use that, or I could use tags. So this is where it's in the indexing part, Robin. So in the indexing, the grouping is done by the headings. So I almost flipped that up. So the headings is where you define how you want to group the page. So I can group it by category, or I can group it by a date field. So if your data is date dependent, I can have it organized by month, by year, or something like that. Okay, so headings is the grouping and the indexing is the filters. And that's it. It's that simple. You just add whatever you want to add. You could change the label as well. And if you want to change any of the stylings of the settings, he has given us in theming, which is really beautiful, a CSS override layer. So basically I can change, if I want to change the way any of the headings look or any different elements and I can't find the spot, I can just hard code it right in here and it will affect it for this page. So that makes it a lot easier too. Did I answer that question, Robin?
Perfect, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Anything else you guys want me to show you back end? Because I know I'm showing you a lot of stuff here. Hopefully it's just enough to kind of get you interested and then we can dive more into deep later. Okay, so this now gets a little tricky. The content display, the URL. This was an issue that I was having. So let's say your website, on every article, you want, on the click of the article, you want it to go to a web page. No problem. So on the back end, and I think, yeah, I could go to this one. I could go to this one. So what determines the link? Okay, the major link on the pages for latest news enhanced, I'm going to show you, is in the layout tab. And if I scroll down to remaining items and I go to linking. So linking is for all items. So you decide, I want to link the title, the head. If you want to read more, you can select that. All right. That means when you click on the item, okay, I can link to the article or I can go directly to any URL custom field for those items. So for example, I'm not going to do it here, but if on the click of it, I wanted to go to a specific website, I can do that. Great. I just go to, I select website instead of article. So then it won't open up the article, it'll go to a website. So far, so good, right? But here's the problem. And let me show you the problem that I ran into that I had to come up with a solution for. So this is a page on a library website of databases, right? So this is classifieds like what Robin's doing, right? So they have all these databases. They call them databases. It's a library. So normally you'd say, okay, great. I click on it and it should take me to an external link. Okay, so I'm going to click on 211 Long Island and it takes me to their site. No problem. That's great, right? But here's where I ran into an issue. They wanted to also add links for tutorials. And they also wanted to add links that if you're in the library to use a different link versus if you're outside of the library, because if you're in the library, you're on a different IP address and they want you to go to a different link. So basically for one article, they wanted like 4 different links. Well, I can't have this link change its mind. Now, when I use this site in Mozette's tree, I actually did hard code an if-then structure that if they were inside the library, use link X. If they're outside of the library, use link Y. I was never happy with that because first of all, I never really trusted it. So I really, really, really wanted to be able to show different links so the user could decide what it is they're going to do. Okay, and this is where I was running into an issue. So this link is fine, that we can understand, is how do these links work? By default, if you select a link in latest news in the hands, a URL, it shows the long URL, which is really ugly, right? You don't want to show HTTPS : blah, 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 blah. That doesn't really work. You could have a label to the left to show what you want them to do. But again, showing a long URL on a page like this is really not advantageous for accessibility or anything of that matter. So I worked with Olivier to figure out a way to create an override. So on this site, we have an override for the links. So let me show you what's in common about these links. First of all, notice how the beginning of the link says Ancestry Library. Well, where does it get that from? The title of the article. Okay, so I'm using the title somewhere, and I'm going to show you the code in a second, but I want to show you how I made it work. And then here it says video tutorial link, click here for access. Where's it getting that text from? What I did was the field itself, the label of that field is this text. Click here for access in the library. So that's the field itself. So what I wanted to do was create an override that would be smart enough to combine those things together and then use the URL link for that field. That's what I wanted it to do. It's only one line of code, which is beautiful, right? So let me show you that code. And we actually also did it on this site too, so I could show you. But let me bring it up here. And I sent a copy of this PDF to Robin so she could send it out to all the attendees of the meeting. But let me just zoom in a little bit. Hold on. Let me go here so you can see it a little bit better. Okay. So here's what I had to do. And the line, it may be slightly different. This is on the Joomla 4 version of the site. So in Joomla 3, it's slightly different code than on Joomla 4. This is Joomla 4. So on Joomla 4, the line that I put in, and you could see I put my code here, LG. So on March 1 of 2022, LG, define URL label to combine the label and the article title. So basically, Olivier's deal was already doing the link properly, right? He knew the link, so that was fine. It was the label that was being displayed that was ugly, the actual label. So what I did here was I changed the URL label instead of what he had. So he was going to have the label just do whatever the field data was, which is the link, which is the long link, right? We don't want it to show the long link. That's ugly. So what I did was I changed the URL label to equal the title, concatenate it with a dash, and concatenate it with the field label. That's it. Simple, simple, out of the box, although it did break my brain and I did have to work with Olivier on the syntax. So thank you again. But it works, and it works really, really well. So again, all I had to change was what he was using for the URL label. And I did have to create an override to do that inside of my template. And I gave the actual file name here. We may need to have a separate session on how to create overrides. So again, I may be like teasing everybody in a lot of stuff here. So Robin, because I want to make sure I'm, with time and all that. Let me ask you, do you want me to show you how I built that? Should I slow down? Where are we with time? What, because I know this could get really intense.
Yeah, no, we're okay. It's interesting that you brought this up because I went over the same exact thing last week, and I used advanced custom fields for the same reason. I like to have the URL, be able to put in what text, and then the URL. Except I had to port that into latest news enhanced. So
that's correct.
Olivier did it for me. And he did the same thing. So he had mentioned that there are some advanced custom fields that Teso offers that he would like to have fully integrated into latest news enhanced. And that would be one of them, right?
It would absolutely be one of them. So what I did is I created an override for the URL field. So I did not have to use Teso's advanced custom field. So, and I did that at Rutgers as well. So basically, we created an override, which I did a class on that a couple of years ago to do that exact thing. And basically, but before I go into that override, but Robin, so just so the group knows, I had to create an override for the field itself, which we did on all of our templates. But let me show you what the override looks like. So if I go into the HTML layouts, latest news enhanced pro details. Here's the file. That's it. And basically, here's my code, which is what I showed you. So here it is, right here. That's it.
Nice.
Now to
So that's
create-
not the same
Yeah.
thing as like a custom field in the back end where you put in the text, you put in the URL. This, it grabs it, you're saying, and
This
it
is
knows.
grabbing it. That's correct. Now, I also created, so guys, there's two things going on here. One is the display of the URL field in latest news enhanced. That's what I'm talking about here. What Robin is talking about is a different one, which is what if on your website you don't want the field displayed? So for example, I think, I'm not sure if this is going to be a good example. I don't think we did. Steve, did we do links here? No, this one I think I did. I'm not positive if I have a good example, if I have a link. Sample syllabus. This is, I'm pretty sure this is a custom field to a URL. And so what we did for all of our URL fields is we created a custom field in our template. So for all of our templates, we use that. And what we do is we actually use the description. So if there's a description, we use the description as the text instead of displaying the long URL. So the description of the field grabs the, is the text. So we actually did that. So if the description is blank, then we're going to just use whatever the value substring is. If it's not, then the link display is going to be the description. So in our custom fields, we use the description.
Very nice.
Okay. And the custom field that I was talking about there, and that could be a whole other session in itself. Maybe we could get Tassos to actually come in to do a session. Yeah, because
is he showing up at 12:30? Does he go to yours, Olivier?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
All right, well, you'll have to tell him he's been requested over here.
Would
so
be
basically with the custom field, without using Tassos, the advanced custom fields, which I do love his tool and I do use it for a lot of things, is basically, I mentioned the description. So click for personal website. So if I'll use the description instead of using the long URL. So that's what we did to kind of jump over that.
That's so important. I think I try to use core as much as possible whenever we can, but there are just a few extensions that just are amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And I'd love to do a session on that. Now, I want to keep going because I want to show I have two more quick things. So let me keep going quick. So event display. Because of one of the things that Olivier added for the custom fields for filtering, selecting, grouping, and sequencing is the custom date field. So what I can do now is I can make my Joomla articles into almost like a set of events. So for example, here we do it on there. I do it in a lot of places. So in the module for where is it? Upcoming adult events, upcoming movies. These are all using latest news enhanced based on a custom field of a date. So I can select based off of the date. Another example is the menu items. When I go to the teen, not the teen calendar, that takes me to another site, sorry. When I go to teen events, why they have it in two different places? Well, I know why. Originally, all of their teen and adult events, those are all stored on a separate website. So I was going to display it in a feed on the homepage. But movies, since they only have a couple of movies, they were going to display it in a pretty way. Well, when the family center, the teen department and the children's department saw how pretty the movies looked, they wanted theirs to look the same. So basically, their featured events are now in Joomla articles, even if they still manage everything in the calendar off-site. And I told them, I said, guys, why are we putting it here? It's already in your calendar, you know? And they're like, well, the children's department liked the way we showed the movies. So that's why That's why they have two links, children's calendar and children's events. It makes no sense to me, but what can you do? So anyway, this is also using latest news enhanced. I can show the date and time, and it is filtering off of this. And if I show you the back end really quick, just so you could see where the filtering happens. Hold on a second. Let me just. Okay, so if I look at the module, because the module and the menu item in this case are similar. So if I look upcoming adult events, so the module is going to show the events, and let me show you the item selection. And I can do it, here it is. So I can select the happenings date. Now, originally, before Olivier added the dates, I had to do a Joomla core field like the create date. So I actually was updating data, and we were changing the create date to be the date of the event because I didn't have a field to use. But then Olivier added custom fields for it, so I was so excited. So basically, I could create a date, the happening state. If there's no date, hide it, and then apply range, relative dates. So it's going to be from number of days, so from 0, which is today, and it goes to 6 months out. Now I could do -1 if I want to show what yesterday's event was. So this is the range. I mean, it's beautiful. You can do a range, which is so powerful. The other thing that you can do, and it's in here as well, is the sorting. So the ordering, I can order by the custom field date ascending order. Olivier, question. How does it know which date I'm basing the order off of? How do I forgot that.
It takes the date that's selected in the date field.
Yeah, but
So,
what if I have 2 date fields?
well, he knows the one you have selected in the if you go up. The one date you showed us is the one that's used.
But what if I'm not doing a filtering on the date?
Well, then it's not going to work.
Okay. Thought. So you have to select the date in the filter. See, now every time I do this, poor Olivier, I'm adding more functionality anyway. So you have to select a date in the filter, and then you can order by that date. So you can order by it, which is really powerful. You can also do a group by, but as I mentioned before, the group by is only at the menu level. So this is a module level example. And I show you the example right here, module page, item selection, dates, can select relative dates for the selection using the date type custom field. So that's the thing with the dates. And before I close, I want to show one more thing, and then we could do more questions. Easy to edit content. So as I mentioned, what I've been trying to do with my sites, I think it's so important, is my clients should love editing their content. They should not be paying me to edit their content. Now, if they have to, then fine. But if they're afraid of the site and they don't feel comfortable, they're not going to edit the content. So it's our job to make it in a way so they can edit it easily. So Olivier has added in the layout tab, there's an option to turn on edit. And what that means is if you log in and you have the capability of editing, a little pencil will show up on the page. Done. So you can just tell them, go to the page, click the pencil, and you're set. You're set to go, which is great. The other option, which you can do as well, is, and I just set this up on this page, which I don't think is going to work right now because I don't think I own any of the records. And I don't own the records, so it's not going to work. But I created, so for English, every faculty member can edit their own profile, but it's only going to work if you own a profile record, right? So if I click on manage profile, I'm not going to have anybody because I'm not a faculty member in the English department. But anyone that is, if they're the author, so what we've done is we've changed the author to be whoever that person is, it will automatically show up in this table. And to do that, and I put that in here, is you change the item selection tab. You set the author equal to auto, and it will only display the content that that person owns. So you could do that for maybe news items and you only want them to edit their stuff. I create a menu item called manage my content. And the other thing I want to show you that you may notice is look at this right side. So on all of our websites, I really try, even at Rutgers, to create pages that are what I call management pages. So again, they don't have to log into the back end. So this is an example of a table view, and I can edit. So I tell them just go to manage, and then they can edit. The only thing this doesn't have, which is okay, is an add new. So normally my manage pages are, I do an article list, because the advantage of doing an article list is your manage page is at the bottom, it says new. So that way, if your customer needs to create a new person, they can. Now, Joomla 4, you don't necessarily need that, because you can do save as copy on the front end. So I know I'm a geek, but it's exciting. So basically, I can have these pages on my front end in Joomla 4, and I could tell them just click on edit, and then at the bottom, hit save as copy. And now I have a new record. So again, I'm giving ways for my customer to edit the data themselves, so I can manage their sites forever without any work. No, but these user menus I think are really important. And I only have them for registered users. So it's not, you know, it's only if they log in. I've been really working hard to do that. So quick summary, because I know it's 12:10, I'm conscious of the time, is went over who we are, the content display, different ways of displaying the content. You'll get a copy of this PDF. The event display, which means you can filter on the custom fields of the event, and then easy to edit your content from the front end. Voila, that's latest news in hands. And I thank you to the master, Olivier, because you're amazing. And questions?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. It makes me blush.
Thank you.
But does anyone have any questions or thoughts? What we could go deeper on or anything?
This was pretty amazing. I know I've been, ever since Olivier did his presentation that introduced it a couple months back, I've been using it to display content in all my pages. Like before I didn't know it exists, and now I use it for everything. One of the things I learned last week was adding additional pieces of information in each record, which was on the information tab. I didn't know there was an information tab, and you can grab all your fields from there instead of just your title and just your introduction
And
just
wait,
your
there's
image.
There's
so
another
information
thing.
field, the information tab, I was like, oh, this is how it's done. So you can add information before, after. It's like
you could decide where you add it. And this is huge. And this Olivier added, I think, about maybe 2 or 3 years ago. You can put a class to it, which is so powerful, because that means if you have specific classes, you can just assign a class, a Bootstrap class using Bootstrap. So you can put a class here for how it's going to display. But another thing you can do, Robin, is in the layout itself, is you can change what field is used. Is that right? Is this?
Yeah, so I knew
level?
you could do like an image or a video to start, and then the title, and then you could choose which text, but I thought that's where it ended. So I was like, how do I get all these other fields? And he's like, you use the information tab. So that's what I needed when I was building
But
my.
I have a question, Olivier,
What
unless
I'm
maybe
looking for.
I'm using an older version here. Is it in the text or was that only at the menu item level when I changed what content was used in the text introduction?
No, if you had a custom fields that was an editor field, you would show it in here.
It needs to be an editor field, not a text.
It has to be an editor.
Editor field. Okay, fine. So
Yeah.
I don't have editor fields here. Fine. Okay.
Mm.
Because we did that actually on one of our new Joomla 4 websites for Rutgers, where this content is not showing the intro text, it's showing content of we call it teaser text. And that way, and again, other ways of displaying data is that if they want to show a teaser text, instead of using read more, I do everything in custom fields. The only thing lacking in custom fields is version. So you just got to be careful, because there's no version in custom fields.
It's being in the works.
Okay.
Right. Right.
Because that's the only scary thing. We have had issues on some of our sites for some reason, you know, and yeah, this is the new layout for Rutgers sites. And as you can see, we got custom field, we got latest news enhanced, latest news enhanced. This is J events, latest news enhanced.
But you can, at this point, you can replace Joomla events with latest news enhanced.
So
Because
yes
you just
and
taught
no.
us, right?
Yes
To a
and
degree.
no. If
Yeah.
what we've been following, is if they have more than 5 to 10 events a month, then I prefer them to use J events. Don't use Joomla articles, because if you have more than a handful of events every single month, then you probably want a monthly calendar view. And I think, although latest news enhanced can do it, I think J events would be a better tool for that. So when I'm working in, if they have like an events calendar type of thing, and they want to show it in a monthly view, this one,
And if
they're
you-
not even doing it, but you
especially
know,
if you want them to register, you need to have an event.
Registration, right? That's
Yeah.
another key.
registration, yeah. Well, no registration, because if you're registering outside of Joomla,
You can
then
just
you can always
bring
have
in
a
a
web
link.
link associated with the article. So our basis is, it depends how many events you have per month. If you have more than 5 to 10 a month, I'm just using straight J events. If it's less than that, which a lot of our departments, it's just 5 a year or something like that, then we're just using Joomla articles. So that's kind of our,
Wonderful.
yeah.
How many people found this presentation to be useful? Raise a hand. Have any of you used latest news enhanced before? Yeah.
I know a lot of people do.
Oh, good, good. How many people are using custom fields? Yeah, and the two of them together make it very powerful, I think. And
Thanks to this group, I found, you know, latest news enhance, and every site I've started now, I've made use of it. It's been great, but it's a monster to figure out.
yeah, the first
That'd
couple
be
were
great.
hard, but now I kind of know where to find things now. But at first I was like reaching out to Olivier, where is that? And he'd said he has a lot of tutorials. There's a lot of tutorials. There's a tutorial for everything. So going on his site and searching for it, or even going in Google and searching for it, it will come up. So a little bit of digging, but as you get into it more and more, you become a master. I agree.
Yeah. And I'll
And
be
what-
adding, I emailed the PDF for the slides to Robin, so she can get this out to everybody. Once the video is complete, I'll put it on my own website as well, on RytechSites, not Rutgers, RytechSites.com. Yeah, so you can, it'll be on there as well. And yeah, there's, as you can tell, there's just so much. There's just a lot.
Well,
But
thank
it's
you,
fun.
Laura. This was amazing. And I think everyone agreed.
Thank you.